What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $1,400 third stimulus check update, fourth stimulus check update, and related news. We have direct information directly from the White House regarding the next stimulus package known as an infrastructure package, and it's called the Build Back Better package. We're going to go over the latest details of that, what we expect to be in the bill/bills that we're now hearing, and multiple different items that we know will already be in this next package, as well as the $1,400 that millions of Americans have not received yet. The latest details on that and some related news as well. We're going to jump right in. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on updates on the next round of stimulus, as there's multiple different provisions that we're expecting in the near future. President Biden has already kicked off the fourth round of stimulus with $1 billion of student loan forgiveness to people that have been defrauded or their school closed. It's only actually a small sliver of what we're expecting in the near future of more student loan forgiveness. Even though this is $1 billion, that is actually just a small fraction of what we expect in the near future, as President Biden himself has said multiple times that he is in favor of at least $10,000 of student loan forgiveness. Also on this channel, we cover the $200 per month Social Security increase, 20% more for widows and widowers, 5% more for people that have been on Social Security for over 20 years, and a new Social Security increase, cost of living index increase that President Biden campaigned on, as well as a $15,000 home buyer credit, all in the next round, the fourth round of stimulus coming up in the near future. So let's jump right in. Don't forget to hit the like button, and here we go. A day ago, we covered the breaking news story that the former CDC director has come out publicly and said that his opinion is the coronavirus started in a lab in Wuhan and basically has infected the entire world since then. This is the first time a government official has said this. The World Health Organization has since responded back and said that they think it's very unlikely that this happened, although there is a big conspiracy theory that the World Health Organization is in the pockets of the Chinese government, and that the Chinese government is their #1 source of income that funds the World Health Organization. So a lot of people say that the World Health Organization is not exactly straightforward when it comes to anything that comes out of China, and that they are in the pockets of China. Well, since that story has broke from the former CDC director, it is getting a lot of publicity and press. Here is Dr. Mark Siegel on his reaction to the former CDC director's saying that he thinks the coronavirus did come from a lab in Wuhan.
I am of the point of view that I still think the most likely etiology of this pathogen in Wuhan was from a laboratory, escaped. Other people don't believe that. That's fine. Science will eventually figure it out. It's not unusual for respiratory pathogens that are being worked on in a laboratory to infect a laboratory worker.
That's former CDC Director Robert Redfield earning pushback for theorizing that the Wuhan lab played a role in the onset of the coronavirus. His comments come at odds with the approved narrative from the World Health Organization. Let's bring in Fox News medical contributor Dr. Mark Siegel. Dr. Siegel, I'm fired up about this. I hear you're pretty fired up as well. Look, I don't know why that kind of opinion or even those questions are totally out of bounds according to most of the scientific community and the media consensus. It is increasingly clear we have to look at where this virus originated, and the lab is increasingly likely.
Well, I love your line, the approved narrative from the World Health Organization, because we know they were in cahoots with China at the beginning, generating a narrative at a time when this was spreading beyond China into the Western world. So that's really the big problem. And I like the courage of Dr. Redfield coming forward. But the key thing here is he's a virologist with over 40 years of experience. He was a pioneer on HIV. He was at the front lines here against COVID-19. mean, it's really eyebrow-raising that he would say this, and he also gave a very good explanation, by the way, which is being overlooked by the left-wing media. Here's the explanation. It's not that a virus suddenly jumps species. It's not a bat virus one day and a human virus the next day. That takes many months of evolution. And so first he's saying maybe this started in the fall, by the way, not in the winter or before the fall, because it takes a while to get used to a human host. The second idea is maybe it started in a bat cave in southern China, but then was being worked on in a lab. People got sick. A lab accident occurred. He thinks that's more reasonable as an explanation that, bang, one day you suddenly have this pandemic.
And we have very little evidence because the Chinese won't share the full experience with us, the full evidence. So we have two separate theories essentially at our table with varying levels of evidence, right? So one theory is that it's zoological. It came from the market. It came from bats. Those bats, by the way, which live almost 2,000 miles away from Wuhan, as you said, in southern China, and then quickly made the leap from bats to humans. That's one theory, and it's not scientifically backed up at this point. Or the other is that a lab across the street from the market, where we know they were testing on viruses, might have jumped to a human host inside of the lab, and then that host is sick and he walks out of the lab. That one as well, we don't have full evidence for, but why is that one crazy and the other one is not?
Absolutely, it's not. It's very reasonable to be considering that. By the way, I can put those two theories together for you and tell you they were working on bat coronaviruses in that lab that came from bat cave. So it may have started in a bat cave. They had in that lab a coronavirus that was reportedly 96% similar in structure to the one we're dealing with now. 96%. So, of course, it could have started in a cave, and then instead of going to a wet market, could have been in the lab.
Right.
And there definitely were experiments going on in this lab to work on bat coronaviruses to see what their potential were for human spread. That's the kind of science that goes on there. I think it's courageous for Dr. Redfield to come out on this. I think it needs to be taken very seriously and not dismissed.
Absolutely. And, of course, we need to pursue where this originated and why the Chinese covered it up.
In my opinion, it's growing more and more almost a certainty that it did come from the lab in Wuhan, China, especially as you heard him say there that the bats that they are saying that it could have come from live 2,000 miles away in southern China. I don't think that that's even a possibility. I think it's, in my opinion, almost a certainty that it did come from the lab in Wuhan, China, which the Chinese government will probably never admit. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Next up, let's go to White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki on the next stimulus package, the infrastructure package called the Build Back Better package.
Finally, as we said at the top of the program, the president is going to lay out the next part of his economic recovery program in a speech in Pittsburgh this week, including infrastructure, education, child care, a number of issues. Is that going to be just one huge bill, or is it going to be split up into two parts, and how big is the total price tag going to be?
Well, first, Chris, when the president advocated for the American Rescue Plan, he talked about this being two stages, rescue, then recovery. What the American people will hear from him this week is part of his plan, the first step of his plan toward recovery, which will include an investment in infrastructure. We shouldn't be 13th in the world. I don't think anyone believes that. The wealthiest, most innovative country in the world. And he's going to have more to say later in April about the second part of his recovery plan, which will include a number of the pieces you talked about. Healthcare, childcare, addressing that. It's a crisis right now. The number of women who have left the workforce, he wants to help to address that. The total package we're still working out, but he's going to introduce some ways to pay for that, and he's eager to hear ideas from both parties as well.
So are we talking about two separate bills? And if so, just briefly, because we're out of time, is he hoping that infrastructure he can get passed with Republican votes, and then he sticks what we're hearing is going to be $2 trillion in tax cuts in the second package, and then pass that through reconciliation on a straight Democratic Party line vote?
Well, we're not quite at a legislative strategy yet, Chris, but I will say that I don't think Republicans in this country think we should be 13th in the world as it relates to infrastructure. Roads, railways, rebuilding them, that's not a partisan issue. That's a lot of what the president will talk about this Wednesday. Then he will have another package, another proposal that he will put forward in just a couple of weeks that will address a lot of issues that American people are struggling with, child care, the cost of health care. So that's what they can expect to hear from him in April.
But just to lock down, two separate bills, correct?
Two separate proposals, and we'll work with the Senate and the House to see how it should move forward.
So number one there, we have confirmation from White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki that the next stimulus package will likely come, at least at the start, in two different bills. And Bernie Sanders, the Senate Budget Chairman, said that they're likely going to have to pass this through reconciliation anyways. They can pass up to three bills through reconciliation, although my thoughts are if they do not get any Republican support for this package, I think they'll likely end up combining them. This is just my initial thoughts. They're going to combine these back into one package and then pass it through reconciliation, because I doubt they'll want to waste two different reconciliation process cards to pass this bill. So we're going to see if we can get Republican support for this next package. We already have multiple new stimulus provisions in this next package that we're starting to hear about, including free universal pre-kindergarten or preschool, free for basically kindergarten children, as well as possible free community college in the next stimulus package. And we have dozens of Democratic lawmakers pushing for not just one stimulus check in the next package, but for multiple monthly reoccurring stimulus check packages or stimulus checks until the pandemic is either over, or we have another proposal, an actual bill that goes until 1 year after the pandemic is over. So two different proposals, monthly stimulus checks until the pandemic is over, and then another one that is monthly stimulus checks until 1 year after the pandemic. Bernie Sanders is also pushing for a Medicare expansion in the next stimulus package as well, and they're also pushing a new prescription drug reform process in the next bill possibly as well, which will reduce the cost of prescriptions that you may or may not be taking in the next package as well. Senator Bernie Sanders wants to make sweeping changes to Medicare and the prescription drug policy and evade the filibuster to do it. The Vermont Independent is urging his party to force Medicare to enter into negotiations with drug companies and use the revenue to pay for a huge expansion of the entitlement program. Bernie Sanders, who chairs the Senate Budget Committee and the reconciliation process, is aiming to lower Medicare's eligibility age from 65 to 55 or 60 years old and expand the program to cover dental work, glasses and eye surgeries, as well as hearing aids. These major changes would be rolled into a massive infrastructure bill Democrats are starting to craft that's likely to include a tax policy as well. Bernie Sanders says in an interview on Friday that Congress's recent $1.9 trillion stimulus package was an enormous step forward on the immediate challenges facing the country, but that now we have to look at the structural long-term problems facing our people. Quote, we're talking about physical infrastructure and affordable housing. We're talking about transforming our energy system to deal with climate change. We're talking about human infrastructure, Bernie Sanders says. In the rescue plan, we were able to take a major step forward in lowering child poverty. Very important. Now I want to deal with these issues facing seniors as well. Hopefully, that's a nod to increasing the Social Security benefits $200 per month, as we've seen proposals from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Senator Ron Wyden, who have unveiled a plan to increase Social Security benefits by $200 per month for all Social Security beneficiaries. The plan to provide more than 60 million Americans with an additional $4,000 over 2 years is part of the Senate Democrats' bold Phase 3 proposal. So hopefully what Bernie Sanders says here, in the next rescue plan, we are able to take a major step forward in lowering child poverty. What they mean by that is likely extending the $3,000 to $3,600 child tax credits for more than 1 year, and which is very important. And also, I want to deal with the issues facing seniors as well. Speaking of seniors, the Social Security Administration has confirmed that they will be sent, or they actually have or will be, depending on how you take their wording, the next stimulus payments, the $1,400 to Social Security beneficiaries, We know that that was delayed from the Social Security administrator Andrew Saul and his deputy Black, last name David Black, I believe it is, that they delayed the $1,400 stimulus check to Social Security beneficiaries for 12 days. Of course, they say that it had to happen and they worked on it as fast as possible. Other people are saying, calling for their resignation and for them to get fired. I covered that in a previous video on my channel. If you haven't watched that yet, I'll link it to you at the end of this video. But the Social Security Administration has confirmed that a new payment for direct deposit and direct express card holders will go out, and we're seeing pending deposits on hundreds of your comments that say you have a new pending deposit and you're on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, railroad benefits, and VA benefits pending under the IRS Get My Payment tool for March 31st, which is this upcoming Wednesday. The last two waves of direct deposits were sent out this past Wednesday and the Wednesday before, so it makes perfect sense that the next wave, the third wave of the $1,400 direct deposits and direct express cards this time around, will go out this upcoming Wednesday, March 31st. Also, other people are saying that they're pending for April 2nd with paper checks and debit cards through the IRS Get My Payment tool. The IRS announced yesterday that they have went ahead and updated the IRS Get My Payment tool, which a lot of new people are now seeing the IRS Get My Payment tool actually tell them something besides status unavailable. Unfortunately, it's not for everybody, as I do still see your comments from hundreds of you guys saying that the IRS Get My Payment tool still says status unavailable or has no information. So unfortunately, it looks like about half the people get no information from the IRS Get My Payment tool, and the other half of the people get a exact date or a pending date of the date for their deposit or a date that their check was mailed out. It's very important to know that if you see a date on there that says your check or debit card was mailed out in the through the mail, that's the date that it's mailed out, or actually the date that it was printed, depending on really what they how they determine that. But it's not the date that you'll necessarily get it. So if you're pending for, say, today, you might receive it a few days later through the mail. And we all know that the mail has been backed up for a while. So let us know if you got it on your pending date down below. Let us know if you're pending for March 31st or pending for April 2nd. Let our viewers know. Let us know if you're on Social Security, because this will help out other people who are very worried that they're not going to receive the third stimulus check. If you got the first two, you are going to get the third one as long as you have a Social Security number and you make below the income requirements. It's really just 90% of Social Security beneficiaries have not gotten their payments sent out yet because the Social Security Administration didn't send the information over to the IRS. So please don't be afraid. Don't be scared that you're not going to receive it. You are going to receive it. They're going to be sending these out on Wednesday. And about 10% of the people, it looks like, that are on Social Security that already received their check are people that have already filed tax returns for 2019 or 2020 or used the IRS non-filer tool in the past. That's because the IRS has your information from one of those tools. If you haven't done that, the Social Security Administration needs to send the new information over to the IRS. They can't use the information from previous stimulus checks because that data is months old. Some people have passed away since then. Some people don't qualify for benefits anymore. There's new people that qualify for some benefits. So they simply just can't use 3-month-old data from the second stimulus check that was passed at the end of December. The Social Security has to send them over new data, and they have now done that about, I think, like 48 hours ago. So the IRS is now processing these payments, and a lot of people are pending for Wednesday, March 31st. I'll keep you up to date on the third stimulus check and everything upcoming for the fourth stimulus check packages, student loan forgiveness, Social Security increase, monthly stimulus checks in the next package possibly, and everything else as well. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new updates. I will keep you up to date. New videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. After subscribing down below, click the bell icon to all notifications. to get reminder notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. You can click this top video here, which is our newest stimulus check video next. And this bottom video is about the Social Security Administrator who delayed the checks. Make sure to watch that if you haven't yet. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I've had dozens of students replace their 9-to-5 income selling products on Amazon. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.